What is going on, Texas faithful? It's your boy SAJ. You know I got to pimp my custom helmet made by my friends over at the End Zone Helmet Painting and our friend Saul Rock Cardenas, right? Always got to do that shout out for him because I told him I would, and that's how much I'm in love with this helmet. So I'm going to do the shameless plug every single week I can. So it's me. Now you get to see my ugly face, and we are back.
Oh, put that helmet back on.
I know, right? A disgusting mug. But you know what is not disgusting is where I'm coming from tonight. I don't know that I've used this one yet, but I am coming from the Little Hip Studios on, I believe that was.
I think you have used that one before. That's okay.
Whatever. It was that good. I'm coming from it then. So, and you don't have a place, do you?
I do. What is up, everybody? I'm BD, of course, and today I'm going to come at you from the 99 cents only studios.
Nice. But aren't they still around?
No. The Dollar General's still around, 99 cent store still around, but the 99 cent only store, they closed. So,
okay.
You know, there's like 20 of them. So you lose a couple, you never really know.
What is going on, Chris? I'm wearing my special helmet, so it makes me feel.
You know, Chris, I wonder about that. I wonder about that with Jason often. So
yes, it keeps me from bumping my head and scrambling what's left of my brain. And what is up, Robert? I'm not going to say it, but congratulations on your win. Okay, we are going to definitely talk about that because I think that that game does need to be talked about. I think a lot of mistakes were made on the Packers' part, and it's pretty embarrassing that that game, which was easily winnable, was not won. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, and we'll get to that, Chris. We'll get to that, Chris. Well, you know what? Everybody's talking about it, so let's just jump in. Let's talk about.
You know what? We always start with the Cowboys. Let's start with the Packers. I'll let you start it off, man.
Let's start.
What happened, dude?
With the Packers.
What happened?
What happened was.
What happened was.
I think we were too worried about the win, or trying to get the win, that we put a quarterback in that was not quite ready, and we had absolutely no answer for Aaron Jones, which we knew we were going to have a problem with. I mean, hell. He was a Packer for 7 years. We knew what we were going to get when we were facing him, and we did not adjust our defensive scheme to handle him accordingly. That's problematic.
How do you not have a defensive scheme against a player that was on your team last year?
That's
of all players you should have a scheme for. It's somebody who played for you, and you knew exactly what they were.
I know, and I would love to say that I have an excuse for it. But there is no excuse for it. We're not prepared for him. Let's go back and look at that garbage. I mean, that wonderful display of sportsmanship. I'm trying to go back to. I hate the NFL's website, man. You can't just go back. You know what I mean? So okay, let's look at this horrible game. And Chris is right. Chris is keyed in on something that I definitely wanted to talk about because I think it's extremely important, right? Aaron Jones went off for 93 yards on 22 carries, right? That's averaging over 4 yards a carry. You got to have some kind of answer for that. I don't see what his longest run was, but I think he broke off like a 20-something yarder. And you got to have some kind of an answer for that. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Sam Darnold did really great. I mean, we knew that he was going to do pretty good. Right here, I mean, Robert has it pinned. We couldn't run the ball, and with Love's injury, he really could not dig in to transfer the weight properly to throw the ball correctly. I mean, there was one that he threw to Kraft that hit him in the shoestrings, basically. Now, Kraft caught it, thankfully, but it hit him in the shoestrings. Like, that's ridiculous, And that's a pass that you normally would make. It was just rough.
Kind of looking at it, I mean, obviously, Packers got down big, so you kind of got to throw to get back into the game. But Love attempted 54 throws, 54 pass attempts. Is crazy to have to lean on a guy who probably shouldn't have come back from an MCL sprain this early. They probably should have sat him out for another week or two to rest up, but to put that much pressure on him and have him drop back that many times for throws is crazy.
You're 100% right. It's ridiculous to think that we're going to have a guy who's coming from a potential serious MCL injury to be back in the game 3 weeks later and expect him to be at full force. That was a game that we should have sat him down and protected him to make sure. Because think about it this way. What if we would have rolled him out there and he got hit in the knee again and then actually tore that MCL and was out for the rest of the season? Meanwhile, we've got the quarterback who potentially has the hot hand right now, could potentially do something with that, and we sit him down. Like that, and I get that. Love is your franchise quarterback. He's the guy that you're counting on to carry this franchise for the next several years. But you need to take care of him too. And they should have sat him. The smart move would have been to sit him, take our chances with Willis, see what happens. If it's a loss, it's a loss. But at least you're not going to potentially risk injuring the future of the team on one game just to try and beat the Minnesota Vikings, So it was not smart at all. And I really am not, I'm not super happy with the Packers staff because they could have done better. So I don't know. Anyways, just looking at his stats, 32, 54, 389 yards, 4 touchdowns, which is impressive, but he also threw 3 picks. And again, it's because of the fact that he was struggling to be able to, plant and transfer weight properly and throw the ball correctly. So some of those did get away from him. I'm surprised he had 1 carry for 6 yards. I would have, thought that he could not, or that he shouldn't have moved at all. Here's another surprising stat. Jacobs only carried 9 times for 51 yards. Now that's a lot, right? Over 9 carries. But what does that really translate out to? That means that, the defensive line was holding pretty stout, The one thing I will say that was pretty impressive, as Chris has already alluded to, the team did come back on the second half, right? Specifically in the fourth quarter where we put up 22 points. And we held Minnesota to 3 points, and we held them to 0 points in the third quarter. But it wasn't enough, right? We saw that 2 field goal, and this is the part that I really wanted to get to next, right? Field goal kicking. What the hell is going on in Green Bay that we cannot find a guy to kick a 35-yarder, to kick a 40-yarder? Like, old boy up in Detroit is kicking 65-yarders. Now, granted, it's indoors, but he's kicking 65-yarders down the middle with room to spare. We can't get a guy to hit a 40-yarder? Come on, man. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And meanwhile, and I've already looked, from what I can tell, Mason Crosby is still available. And he would love to come back to Green Bay and kick those 35 and 40-yarders because those are chip shots for him.
He probably could, too. He probably could.
Yes.
Yes. 0 for 2 for field goals, man. 0 for 2. That's crazy, dude.
Yes.
Y'all got bit by the freaking field goal bug.
Yep. There's also somebody else that happens to be somewhat connected to one of the other shows that we do, who's a kicker in the NFL, who is sitting around, not a starter, who could be a starter, who could be on the greatest team on earth, and he's not. What the hell? Like, I don't get this, man. I don't understand what the Packers front office is doing. I understand there was, we were having a hard time finding a kicker who could actually kick in, in the NFL. We went through 3 kickers in preseason. Called this dude last minute, brought him in, he got the gig. But now he can't kick either. Right? So what the hell? And Rankin, you put respect on that man's name. You guys don't even know how to treat a kicker, so I don't want to hear anything from you. Okay? There's
so many
fight words.
There's so many kickers that are just sitting home right now who could do way better than 0 for 2 and whatever the hell. Like, I don't know. He's missed a few others this season too, right?
There are at least 8 kickers from the European Football League who are no longer working now because their season is over. Why not call one of those guys? Why not call one of those soccer players who seem to be able to do great at kicking in American football, right? I mean, what are we doing, man? What are we doing in Green Bay that we can't find a dude to kick the ball through the uprights? I understand you've got, 300 and some odd pound, defensive linemen crashing in on you. And it can be a little bit stressful. But I mean, come on. Like, this is ridiculous. You got one job, bro. One job. And you can't even do it from 35 yards out, which is considered a chip shot in the NFL. So, and pretty good's an understatement, but you're right. And I'm glad. I mean, it stinks. I'm glad you guys are putting him to use. This may actually be a time where you guys get to celebrate, because we know what happens when Minnesota gets to the end of the road. It's the end of the show for them. So, maybe this year might be a little bit different. I'm kind of thinking it won't be. And you still got a really tough Detroit team that you're going to have to worry about. And Green Bay may find a kicker, right? Now, we didn't do so hot the first half. But we can figure that out, and we pretty much shut you guys out the second half. So, maybe let's not pump that chest up so much, right? You won by 2.
I mean,
so
they can. I think the Vikings fans have a right to kind of puff their chest out, because nobody would have expected them to be 4-0. Probably, I don't think anybody would have expected them to win 4 games at all this season.
That's true.
They've come out of nowhere to be the darlings of the NFC North. So it's crazy. Nobody expected it.
You're right. And Robert has a point here. I mean, did Jones need to score a touchdown? They won the game. So, oh no, Robert did not rage quit. No, he was in it to win it, and they did. So again, Robert, Vanessa, all you Vikings fans out there, Big Daddy Ed, congratulations on the win. You definitely earned it. We tried to put up a good fight. What can you say, right? It was a good game. It was ugly, like I said it was going to be. We really tried to turn it up that fourth quarter. Those 2 missed field goals, we came up short.
Yep.
Plain and simple. Right?
Little too late.
Yep. No excuse for it. So, no love in Green Bay for the Packers. We lost a hard-fought game that should not have been lost, but that's on us. That's 100% our fault. So, moving on to America's not-so team.
America's team, baby. America's team, all right.
How'd you guys fare on Sunday?
Well, first we played Thursday, but
close enough.
Do you remember what I said last week, Jay, about Thursday's game?
What did you say?
You don't remember what I said? I said if we don't absolutely destroy the Giants, then we have a horrible game. We had a horrible game. And we did not absolutely destroy the Giants. We won by 5 points, and it was another, pathetic performance by our offense. I mean, maybe, but you know what?
You can take a swing at Chris when he's wearing his special helmet. So
yeah. I mean, you know, Dak had a okay. He had a good game. 22 of 27, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. But again, the rushing game, it's you know, I think they had some garbage yards kind of towards the end, and yeah, Uncle Rico, I think he averaged like 4 yards a carry, but your run game is complete garbage when you're
I can't put that one up, but that is true.
I'll put it up. Yes. Yes, you are, Chris. Yes, you are.
Poor Chris. Anyways, look. Robert is correct.
They do. They do. I think they said something. They've won like, I don't know, 13 of the last 14 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And,
Which
I said last week, Daniel Jones is the worst quarterback in the league. And freaking Cowboys let the worst quarterback in the league complete 29 passes for 281 yards.
yeah, that's
No, the last throw of the game for him was an interception, but other than that, I mean, he looked pretty good.
right.
That was on the defense that let him do that.
That's the thing I can't understand here. How does Daniel Jones go off for 281 yards and not get a single touchdown? Okay. How does Singletary rush 14 times for 24 yards? That's like 1.71 yards. You could fall forward that much on average.
Now, you know what? And to the defense's credit, they've been allowing probably 15 yards a carry in the season so far. They held the Giants to 1.5 yards a carry. So they really focused on the rush game, but kind of at the expense of the pass game. Once again, you're letting Daniel Jones kind of go down the field, and they tighten up and end up, obviously Giants didn't score a touchdown. It was 5 field goals. So they let him get in the end zone. Didn't let him get in the end zone, but still, you're still letting him go down the field and score to keep it at as a game.
True. And we've had this discussion on other shows, right? Talking about the whole bend but don't break defense. I think this is a much better example of what a bend but don't break defense is. The fact that they held him to 5 field goals and completely kept him out of the end zone. I'll let you march up and down the field all day long. I'll give up that 3 points to keep it from being 6. That makes sense.
Here's the problem, though. The Cowboys have had a bend but don't break defense before, and it always breaks in the playoffs. So
that's true, but and this year's no different. But
no, probably not. But I mean, at this point, if we make it to the playoffs, I mean, I started to say before, but our run game is absolutely garbage when CeeDee Lamb is lining up as a running back and getting the ball. He's not getting rushes off of jet sweeps or anything like that. He is lining up in the backfield and getting handed the ball like a running back. Your run game's garbage at that point. So,
but Elliott 5 rushes for 19 yards. I mean, that's 3.8 per carry. I mean, that's not bad.
It's not good. It's not good. I mean,
that's true. Uncle Rico had the best. And that's
even and I don't remember I think it's halftime stats. I think CeeDee Lamb was leading the team in rushing at halftime, and he had like 10 yards. And I think everyone else had 4 or 5 or whatever it was. It was a pathetic rushing game, just like what we've seen from the team all season long. And this is what's going to. Yeah, Ben Tilda eventually, absolutely right, XFL Mike G, and that's what's going to happen. So we're not getting the pressure from the defensive line that we've gotten. The secondary is not covering. You know what? I don't even let him be overweight. I don't care. What I need Zeke to do is I need him to get 1 yard when we need 1 yard. So you know what? If he wants to be 250 pounds and look like me out there, I don't care. Just get that 1 yard when we need that 1 yard.
Okay. I'm going to show this one just because, you're talking about, guys being kind of a little portly and everything like that. Just remember this one, okay? Cheeseburger Eddie Lacy, baby.
Oh man.
You remember him?
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, we got no room to talk. No room to talk.
But you know what? If you needed 1 yard from his fat ass, you could get 1 yard from him.
Oh, he was good for even at that size. He was good for like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But only like 1 or 2 times in a game, and then he was done.
Well,
he was a very situational back.
He would just take one step and just be like, and fall forward 3 yards.
Take out like half the stands.
Yeah.
He turned out to be a big boy. Poor Eddie. I loved him so much, but God.
Yeah, and what XFLYG said, Parsons got hurt in the game. Lawrence is on the IR, so he's gonna miss probably 6 weeks.
Dude, our guy Caleb, what's up, baby?
What's up, Caleb?
Real quick. I want to stop what we're doing right here to give our guy Caleb a shout out. This is one of the gentlemen that we actually met at the XFL Combine last year. And I need to bring up Messenger real quick. Give me a second, because it's important. I want to talk about this because I want to give this young man the props that he deserves.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I want to make sure to encourage you guys to keep your eye out for this young man. Okay, if I can bring up the stupid Messenger app. Okay, so Caleb did phenomenal last year at the Orlando Showcase with an injured ankle. Managed to make it out to San Francisco and do a little bit better, but for whatever reason, things did not break for him. This year, they're going to have to the UFL better be paying attention. So anybody who's connected with the UFL, I'm telling you, take a look at this young man. Here are his stats from the Orlando Combine this week. Okay, 6.69 in the 3-cone drill puts him 3rd in the NFL, 1st in the UFL Combine. Okay, 35-foot triple jump, which is 1st in the NFL, 4.340 flat out. Okay, all of his routes were crisp, caught every single thing that he was thrown. Literally did not drop a thing, made it look like he'd been there his whole entire life. So XFL, UFL, CFL, IFA, anybody, whoever's paying attention, look this young man up, okay? He has what it takes to be a serious weapon on whatever squad you put him on. So take a look at him. I'm sorry, I am fanboying a little bit out. It's okay. I'm telling you, this man is humble, he's hungry, and he's ready to put in some work. So, Caleb, shout out to you, young man. We are praying for you, hoping for the absolute best. And like we told you on the Horns Forward podcast, we're going to do everything we can to support you, young man. You keep chasing that dream, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, man, and, I told you a message, but I'll tell you, in public, well done, man. Well done, man. It was fantastic job. Baby. And, dude, nowhere to go but up, man. So we're looking forward to seeing where your career heads from here, man. So really proud of you, dude.
Okay. Now, we got to get back to paying some bills. So let's continue talking about some football. So, Cowboys, they beat the Giants. You stop making fun of me, okay? It was a good flex. Rankin said Chiefs can use a wide receiver right now. Hell, the Packers could use a wide receiver right now. Caleb, can you kick, by the way? Because, maybe we could use both.
Well, speaking of wide receivers, the Packers might have a chance at one.
Yeah. So, interesting news coming out of Oakland today. Devontae Adams.
Las Vegas now, sir.
Well,
it hasn't been Oakland for the last 5 years.
It will always be Oakland, just like the Rams will always be the Dirty City. Okay. Devontae Adams is done in Las Vegas. So
he wants to be done. He wants to be done in Vegas. Yeah.
And depending on how he plays it, because there was a time when Devontae Adams did have Green Bay by the short hairs, if you will, and negotiated himself out of Green Bay to what is now Vegas. So he potentially has the weaponry to get himself out of Vegas also, but it's probably going to come at a heavy price, and this is probably going to be, kind of the I don't want to say the downfall of his career, but this is going to be the back end of his career here. Okay, what do you do with Devontae Adams? Green Bay could definitely use him. The Chiefs could definitely use him. He's in an AFC squad, um, so
I'm sure Rodgers would love to have him back.
I don't think that the Jets are going to take a stab at him because I don't think that they can afford him.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong, and the Jets have other people they've invested heavily in, believing that Rodgers, is going to be that difference maker, and they're finding out, of course, that he's not, right? All the mushroom tea's finally gone to his head. But if you were the Vegas Raiders, what would you do with him? And Robert, be quiet. We definitely need a veteran like Devontae Adams. We just don't need a cancer. So, Brian,
I mean, it's hard to say. You kind of don't want to give in to a player just kind of throwing a little hissy fit or something. But if a guy just doesn't want to be there, then you kind of have an obligation to your team to get him out, because at that point he's just going to be a toxic player in the in the locker room. So I mean, I think the price that they want for him may be a little heavy, which is going to deter a lot of teams from going after him. But I think they kind of owe it to their team to work something out.
Yep. I understand what Robert's saying about the Raiders not trading him to the Chiefs. I think for the right price they would, and I think they wouldn't hesitate to do it if it meant that.
It's not like the Raiders. It's not like the Raiders are a threat to the Chiefs. Yeah, you don't want to help out somebody in your own division, but the Raiders aren't going to be like in the playoffs, or they're not going to be a threat. So it's not like, oh well, if we trade him to the Chiefs, it's gonna hurt our chances to be a contender. They ain't a contender anyways. They ain't even close.
Mm-hmm. Right. They'll be hosting the playoffs before they're in the playoffs again. I promise you. But in the meantime, they could be using that as a bargaining chip, because the 2025 draft class, especially with some of the UFL players that are going to be being fed into the league, you have a better chance of picking up some more of those diamonds in the rough and actually making something happen. So if I were the Raiders, I would be looking at what is the maximum value I can get from him. And I think a team like the Jets would definitely be interested, depending on the price, and not even so much the actual capital, but like draft capital, right? Because that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck out of him. I think the Chiefs potentially would show a little bit of interest. The Packers definitely could be looking. They've got some potential weapons, but nobody has that field experience like Devontae Adams does right now. So it might not be a bad idea to invest in somebody like him, get some veteran experience in there to coach up some of these younger guys, these 2 and 3 year players, and get them mentally ready for the grind that is the NFL. Because it's more than just going out there and catching routes and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's a couple of teams that could benefit from him. But I do also think that, BD, you are right. He's going to come with a very heavy cost. And I just don't know if people are going to be willing to invest that kind of money in a guy that's only got, maybe 3-4 years left in him before he starts, really kind of falling.
And I mean, just his contract. Yeah, just his contract alone. I just looked it up. He's the next 2 years. He's due $36 million each year. So, not only is the team going to have to give up, whatever Vegas wants for a trade, but now the team has to pay him $70 million for 2 years. Is he going to be productive enough to warrant a $70 million salary?
Well, and again, it's going to depend on the quarterback situation, right? Would he be productive with Aaron Rodgers? Right now, that's kind of up in the air, because it's not really necessarily the team that isn't necessarily producing. Aaron Rodgers isn't the Aaron Rodgers of old. The rust is finally starting to show a little bit, I think. Could he potentially have an impact with a quarterback like Dak Prescott or Patrick Mahomes, somebody like that? Yeah, very definitely, because he's got a quarterback that is going to kind of be on his caliber. Could he actually make a run with Carr over in New Orleans? Probably not.
That's a good landing spot for him. I mean, and even the Cowboys aren't going to trade for him because he costs too much, and they gave up too much money to CD and Dak. But just kind of like money's not an option. I mean, Adams would be kind of a good fit in Dallas because you've already got a number one receiver, so you're not expecting Adams to be the number one guy. He can be a number two, and then put Cooks at your third receiver. I don't know, that's a hell of a receiving core. Now you've got a freaking mid quarterback just throwing to him, but you know what? That's beside the point. I mean, even beside the point. New Orleans. I'm not sure New Orleans would love to get Adams. And the way their offense has been running, he'd be a great fit for them. Mm-hmm. So I think there's definitely want and a need for him, but are the teams going to be willing to pay the price? That's the ultimate decision here.
That's what it's going to come.
What are the Raiders willing to take to give him up, and do these teams want to pay him what his salary is?
Right. So speaking of things that are worth the investment, Jared Goff was apparently worth the investment, wasn't it?
I never know where you're going with these freaking segues, dude. Never know
but
where
they
you're
always
going.
Work out, don't they?
Maybe like 75% of the time.
Unlike Jared Goff's completion rate, which was 100%. That absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay.
At 18 of 18, and they weren't all short passes either. So and I mean, hell, dude, he was 18 for 18 passing, and he was 1 for 1 receiving. So
yeah, that I've got to say,
he should get bonus points for that.
Yeah, hats off to Detroit for pulling the sneak play out. And it was I did not watch that game, and I missed out on probably what was one of arguably the best plays this season. And it's only week 4, So anything beyond this is going to have to be like literally Jesus running deep and catching a touchdown or something. Because I don't know how you're going to top that, dude. I really don't. So
don't get struck by lightning during our show, dude. Come on now.
I'm grounded. But yeah, so obviously Goff was on fire this weekend.
So unfortunately, I didn't really watch too much of the Lions Seattle game. I was watching the Miami game because that's the team my wife likes, so we were watching that game, and that was just a bad game for Miami, and Huntley was just terrible in it. So felt kind of bad for him. I mean, the guy's been with the team 2 weeks, so you can't really expect much. But my God, that was just terrible.
No, but really, I mean, how lost were they without Tagliova? I mean, and I know I'm butchering his name, and I apologize. But for him to go 14 of 22 and 96 yards as a professional quarterback, it almost reminds me of one of our backup quarterbacks that we had in Green Bay, Brett Huntley. I don't know if there's any relation or not, but he did not have a good go at it either and got bounced around the league. This poor cat, Huntley, jumps in, trying to fill in the shoes of Tagliova, and fell very, very short. It's bad. So I feel really, really bad for him. Meanwhile, Rudolph went 9 of 17, 85 yards. Levis went 3 of 4 for 25, and they still managed to put up 31 points. Okay, Levis. Levis
got hurt. Levis got hurt early in the game, fell on his shoulder, and they brought in Rudolph. And Levis probably could have gone, but Rudolph was playing a lot better, so they kept him in the game. But I mean, I say a lot better very loosely because neither one was good. it was kind of a hard game to watch. I was able to kind of get a nap on during it.
Yeah.
So
That's what Rankin said, Mr. Dirty Toro. I did not watch that one. It was, oof, oof. Not one of
he
those
didn't really
games
miss a whole lot.
watch,
You know, it's crazy. Like it was just bad. Even not even Huntley. Like Tyreek Hill, at one point in the fourth quarter, had 3 straight penalties for illegal shift during the snap. 3
yeah,
straight plays he did it, and he's getting kind of pissed off. But I'm like, they're correct calls, guy.
yep,
Like know
yep,
how you're supposed to set up in during a play.
yeah. So meanwhile, kind of surprising here, Tampa Bay holding it down. Now 3-1 against they were 2-1 going into the Eagles game, where the Eagles were 2-1 also. And of all people, Baker Mayfield, 30 of 47, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns. Guess what else? No interceptions. That's Baker Mayfield now.
Yep.
So
I
very
know.
surprising. um, and it's impressive to see some of these guys kind of turn things around. Now, is this trending in the right direction? Has Baker Mayfield actually figured out how to be an NFL quarterback? It remains to be seen. I mean, let's not sell the farm yet, but maybe he's starting to upward trend, right? So let's keep an eye on the
I think
Tampa Bay. Go ahead.
I think he is, and I think he started it last season, his first year with Tampa Bay. Um, I think he's kind of found a place where, and I think he said it in some interviews, he can kind of be himself, and he's not feeling a lot of pressure. And I think they were I don't know if you watched the game, but it was Tom Brady called the game, and Baker had a quote, I guess, kind of taking a little bit of a dig at Brady, maybe. That he's having fun with the players that were I forget what exactly he said, but something along the lines where they weren't having fun with other people who were there. Kind of taking a little shot at Brady, saying he was kind of hard. And I mean, Brady has been Brady, and he's kind of known as a demanding quarterback. So they kind of talked about it and took a little jab at him during the game. So, but I think it is kind of true. Like Baker's kind of able to be himself and able to have fun, and you can kind of see that. He's not restricted, and he's been really successful so far.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of a surprise to see. I know I kind of took a couple shots at him when he first signed with Tampa Bay, how that was a dumb decision, but so far, I mean, it's turned out to be a good choice for him.
Yeah. Speaking of good choices and maybe not so good choices, the Texans apparently are making some marginal at best choices, I think, because for them to play the 0-3 Jaguars and only beat them by 4 points, when you've got arguably some of the best combinations that are supposed to be in the NFL, to come out of that game with only a 4-point win, I'm getting a little nervous for the Texans. Was this maybe an off game for them? Or because no offense to any of our Jags friends, but we know how bad the Jags have been suffering this year. And some of the losses have not exactly been close. So you can't really say. I mean, maybe the Jags did step it up this game. Maybe they did decide to bring a little bit more pressure and push quarterbacks a little bit harder. Or push the defense rather. I'm sorry, I'm getting a call from one of my kiddos, and I'm not sure what's going on. Interesting. Anyway, sorry, too much personal stuff.
Kind of.
Yeah,
that's all right. That's all right.
Stroud.
I kind of watched the game a little bit, and
okay.
it was just one of those, it never really felt like the Texans were kind of in sync. It was, they played, obviously they won the game, so it wasn't a terrible game, but it wasn't close. And I if I remember correctly, they had to score a touchdown at kind of at the end of the game to actually take the lead and pull ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But I may be wrong. I watched a lot of football this weekend, so I might be getting some games mixed up. But
Well, no.
it was still a real close game.
Yeah,
And
I'm looking at the
but
stats. Jacksonville took the lead in the third quarter, and the Texans had to score that touchdown in the fourth quarter to win the game. So
yeah.
here's
So
what's,
the Jags have been bad, like you said. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that Peterson is still their coach. I'm surprised that haven't completely turned over the staff yet, because I mean they've owned 4, and I think now they're 0 of their last 9. So they need some serious help. And for the Texans to only beat them by 4 is akin to me being disappointed the Cowboys only beating the Giants by 5. So like nobody should feel good about that win if you're a Texans fan.
yeah, and Robert's right. I mean, the offense, being shaky and not clicking, which really, really surprises me.
Yeah.
That you've got C.J. Stroud,
especially with the addition of Diggs.
Yeah, well, I was going to say you've got Stroud throwing for 345 yards. You've got Diggs on the squad, 1 reception, 6 yards. I mean, I understand he's probably drawing double coverage and everything, but come on, So yeah. Something's got to click in Houston. If they're going to make a run deep like they did last year, something's got to click, and it better click quickly, because they're running out of real estate really quick. But anyways, so that's pretty much the NFL recap. Some craziness that happened this weekend, especially that Detroit game. Like, that was just insane. Nobody expected to see that. So let's talk about some college football, Brian. Absolute insanity.
So
okay,
are you talking about the Alabama Georgia game?
Yes, dude. The only one that seemed to matter this weekend.
I mean, the 2 most insufferable teams in college football, but they had a hell of a game. I mean, it was fantastic.
Yep, absolutely insane game. I did not watch this game. I didn't watch much football on Saturday at all, honestly, other than the UTSA game, which was a surprising game. I mean, we'll get to that in a bit, but
that game, the Alabama Georgia one, man. I mean, it was Alabama jumped out to I think a 3 touchdown lead in the first quarter, and even by halftime, it looked like Alabama was just going to blow the doors off of Georgia, and Georgia just didn't even show up, and then Georgia came back in the second half, and it was back and forth. I was catching different parts of the game, could just kind of doing stuff, but I watched like the whole fourth quarter and got to see Georgia's comeback, and it was, I mean, they came down and they scored with just a couple minutes left in the game, and you could see to take the lead, and you could just see the shock on the Alabama fans' faces. They just panned over the crowd, and they're just sitting there just in total awe, shock of what happened. And then Alabama goes out there, and the first play of the drive is like a 75-yard touchdown. And then everyone's going insane again. And then obviously Georgia gets the ball back, and they don't score. So, but I mean, it was a phenomenal game to watch. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And I hate both those teams. They're insufferable, but like I said, it was a hell of a game.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was interesting, but the highlight reel, that kid that caught that insane pass, who's only 17, by the way. He's not even legally like he can't do half the stuff that adults can do. You know, he's out there catching, Heisman, trophy winning insane catches. Like this kid's going to be, this kid potentially, he either flashed and he's done, you're never going to see him again, or he just broke out on the scene in a big way and now everybody needs to take notice. Let's wait and see what happens. But yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal. In the meantime, your Texas A&M. Go ahead.
That's right. So we had our annual game against Arkansas up in Jerry World, which this is the last game for that. And I think we had maybe 10 years up there. I forget how long we've been playing that game for, but this was the last one of the yearly trip up to Jerry World. And it was just like a A&M Arkansas game. It was a battle. We A&M ended up pulling it out 21-17. But Arkansas kind of took an early lead. They I think they were up 14-0 to start the game, and A&M kind of battled back. Defense really stepped up after the first quarter. Arkansas didn't score a single touchdown, and not only the defense stepped up in the later half of the third quarter, fourth quarter, the run game stepped up. Are you paying attention, Dallas Cowboys? Are you paying attention? The run game won the game for the Texas Aggies. All right, run game dominated the line, dominated the Arkansas's defense, and won the game. The run game. Freaking get it together, Dallas.
What's a run game? Meanwhile, Texas played their first SEC game against Mississippi State.
I mean, did they really though? I mean, it's technically an SEC game, but it's freaking Mississippi State. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, it turned out exactly like you thought it was. It's like a D1 school playing a D2 school. Like it's not even wouldn't even remotely close. Texas wins.
We're number 1 in the nation. You haven't played a single freaking team. Sorry, you know what? You played Michigan,
but they're not number 1. They're not number 1 according to this poll. They are number 2 in the state now.
Who's number 2?
Texas. What's up, Jackie? I'm sorry to hear you're under the weather. Texas weather.
Feeling better, Jackie.
Yes.
What poll is Texas number 2 in?
In the.
Oh, you know what? Okay, AP. AP has Alabama as number 1. Yep. Texas is number 2. The coaches poll still has Texas as number 1.
Well, I'm going with AP. AP has Texas at number 2, and rightfully so, because they played Mississippi State and won. Like that shouldn't even. I mean, that you should get like half points for that.
Yeah,
exactly. That's like picking on the elementary school kid and taking his lunch money, dude. It's not even cool.
Nobody's impressed by that win.
Yeah, nobody's impressed by the Ohio State score either. Brig, that's a shot at you.
No.
And pretty much everything else turned out exactly like you thought it would, right? Next week, you guys are taking on number 9 ranked Missouri State. That's going to be pretty impressive.
That's gonna be a big game for us. So I mean, this is A&M had that one kind of obviously our loss to Notre Dame, the first game of the season. Which I mean, we were in that game for the whole time. This is our next test, and if we can beat Missouri, which our run game, Dallas, if they can control the game like they have been. We've got a real good shot at beating Missouri. And, they kind of showed it. A&M gets on a run, we can kind of jump up in the rankings and, it is a 12-team playoff. We may have an outside shot at maybe getting in there. So, we don't play Alabama this year. We don't play Georgia this year. We play Texas at home. All of our big SEC games are at home. So, it's a very favorable schedule for the Aggies. Yeah. As long as we don't, just kind of drop the ball, we could have a really, really successful season.
Speaking of dropping the ball, UTSA dropped the ball this weekend. And this is one of the games that I did watch. Okay. Not very pleased with how things are turning out in, Roadrunner land here. UTSA was ahead going into the half. Okay. Granted, they're only ahead by 3, but they were ahead. And then wound up getting blanked in the third quarter. Meanwhile, East Carolina Pirates scored 14. And then UTSA managed to put 7 on the board in the fourth quarter, whereas Carolina put 6. And Carolina wound up winning this game 30-20. McCown went 24-49, 251 yards, 1 touchdown, but 2 interceptions, right? Counterpart, Jake Garcia with East Carolina went 17-35, but he threw for 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. This was not UTSA came out strong the first half. They were looking good. It was.
Really, you look at the numbers. 170 rushing yards, 280 passing yards. What happened? Like that's you would think you have that kind of offensive production, you win the game.
A lot of it came down to the costly interceptions that they threw. They did lose a fumble, and there was a decent amount of penalties. 12 penalties for 79 yards total that really kind of wound up hurting UTSA. And then not being able to answer back when East Carolina put 14 on the board in the third quarter, that's gonna hurt you every single time. So yeah, unfortunately, UTSA drops another one. And
you know what's good though for UTSA? Their field goal kicker Chase Allen, 2 for field goals. So maybe the Packers should give him a call. Just throwing that out there.
Is he even old enough to be on an NFL field? Like,
you know what? If a 17-year-old can play for Alabama, this cat can play for the Packers. So
that's true.
Just draw a mustache on him if you need to.
There you go. Speaking of drawing mustaches on things, I'd like to draw the mustache on the Texas State Bobcats logo. Let's talk about the Texas State Bobcats and how they beat the Lamar Cardinals. Wait, no, that's the wrong game.
Oh, God.
No, it was the right game. But I'm confused. No, I overlooked that they had the Sam Houston game. I was a week behind.
They played who?
Sam Houston State.
Bears.
That's true. Sam Houston State Bearcats? Is that? I guess that's a technical school or something, or I'm not sure. Anyways, they wound up losing, right? But they lost 40-39. And if you look at some of their quarters, first quarter they put up 22 unanswered points, right? Now, granted, this did not work out in their favor, and I think them not putting any points up in the fourth quarter, whereas Sam Houston put up 6, that obviously hurt them. But God, their quarterback Jordan McLeod, 29-39, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns. Absolutely insane. Versus Sam Houston's quarterback who went 10-19 for 95 yards. That's it. Everything else is on the ground or field goals. So that's pretty impressive to grind it out and win that way. But again, Texas State had a bad game, kind of let that one get away from them, let Sam Houston stay in the game when they should have buried him quickly. And it did wind up costing them. But still, just the fact that they put up 22 unanswered points alone, that's pretty impressive. So Texas State next week will be taking on Troy. UTSA will be taking on Rice, which is going to be a pretty big game.
Mm-hmm.
So hoping for a little bit of a turnaround in trajectory for both teams and see what UTSA and Texas State can pull out. In the meantime, we've got our friends over at the Incarnate Word Um, they just played Northern Arizona and beat them 38-14. So they are now what are they? 1, 2. They're 4-0 for the season. Um, no, I take it back. They're 3-1 because I forgot about the San Diego State one that they dropped. No, they're 2-2. Yeah,
Sorry, you'll get it right eventually.
I'll figure it out eventually once I learn how to count. But no, they're 2-2. So maybe not off to the hot start like they were last year, but still definitely a contender. And they looked sharp in this game from what I can see on the stats, because obviously, I mean, you have to be at these games to watch them. They don't air these on any of the free channels that I get. Um, but they did look good, and next week they're going up against Prairie View. So if they can win that one, they can turn the season, into a 3-2 season fairly quickly. Um, what else do we have? Do we want to talk about high school real quick?
I didn't pull anything up. I mean, obviously, well, we're on college. I think it may be worth mentioning some of the realignment conference changes that have kind of broke today.
Oh yeah.
I think kind of the big news is Gonzaga going to the Pac-12, which right now is the Pac-2,
Yes.
but they're pulling in I think 7 teams for next season, or
They're going big.
pulling in six teams from next season, which kind of when I was looking at it, so in order to be considered an FBS school, you have to have 8 football teams.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, Gonzaga does not have a football program. They're basketball and baseball and stuff. So, Pac-12 either needs to bring in another team that has a football program, or Gonzaga needs to start a football program in order for them to be eligible to be a FBS conference.
I'll go be a freshman. Just give me some tuition, baby. I told you I'm good for 1, maybe 2.
Yep.
That's all I need, right? Give me that degree.
You'd be like, what was it? What's that meme? Steve Buscemi with the skateboard. Hello, fellow kids.
Yes, 100%, dude. 100%. I'll be Cheeseburger Eddie 2.0.
Yeah. And the other one was
this one's the big one.
UTEP going from Conference USA to Mountain West, which I don't really understand that move too much, because you kind of look at the two conferences. The Mountain West has 5 schools that are actually moving to the Pac-12. So a lot of the Pac-12, I think, other than Gonzaga, are coming from the Mountain West. And the Conference USA, they seem to have a lot more recognizable names.
Yeah.
Mountain West, you're going to be stuck with the Air Force Academy, the University of Nevada, Reno, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, University of New Mexico, San Jose State, and University of Wyoming. I didn't even know Wyoming had a university. I didn't even know people in Wyoming knew how to read, but that's a whole other subject. That's a weird move to me, to go from Conference USA, which is it's a pretty well-known conference, just, with a lot of the schools, some of the big names and stuff. Mountain West, yeah, the name, but it doesn't have any big name schools or common schools in there. So it's a really surprising move for me.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be more behind it than what we know. So, I mean, why would you take a school from a more well-known organization to a lesser-known organization?
I mean, it's not like they're going from freaking Big 12 to Mountain West or something like that, or like a big name conference. It's Conference USA to Mountain West, but I feel like it's a step down for them. Obviously, they don't feel that way, or they wouldn't have made the move. Or maybe they want to go from a smaller fish in a big pond to become a bigger fish in a small pond. Who knows?
Potentially. But either way, they're making that move, so it's just interesting. And it's going to be interesting to see what Mountain West does to fill some of those holes that have now been created. Real quick on high school, Piper beat Smithson Valley 39-36. Seguin destroyed Bernie Champion in a very high-scoring game, 73-66. All offense, apparently, right? Steel crushed Clemens 55-12. Wagner beat MacArthur 55-3. Poor MacArthur, right? Churchill beat Madison 37-30. Harlan beat O'Connor
Wait,
57-31.
I'm sorry. Did you say Madison scored 30?
Yeah, but it was against Churchill, so
I know that, but I think that's more point. I think that's more points than we've scored the entire season to date.
you're probably not wrong. Not really a whole bunch of other ones to necessarily talk about. I don't see. I'm looking for Veterans Memorial. I don't see any scores from them. Looks like Judson dropped another one to East Central, 30-23.
Oh, did you hear that, Chris?
Yep. Poor Chris. No, I think he actually jumped off. I think it's past his bedtime. He can hear about this tomorrow.
Poor
but in the meantime,
Chris.
yes. Really not too many updates. There's no Roosevelt on there whatsoever. I think they finally just gave up on football and called it quits. Speaking of giving up on football and calling it quits, let's talk about fantasy real quick, and then updates on this next week's games, and then we'll shut it down from there. So, Brian, how'd you do in fantasy football?
I did really good. I went 3-1, and I should have gone 4-0, but freaking Seattle and Detroit decided to just have a shootout, and the guy that I was playing probably had 6 touchdowns from the game last night. So he came back to beat me, but you know what? I won in 3 of my 4 leagues. So, I kind of had a rocky start to the season, but, I feel like I'm hitting my stride. So how about you, Jay? How did you do?
I did not do so good. I, in fact, did quite terribly this week. I went 1-2, and the only one that I won, I'm 4-0 in that league, and the rest of them, I'm 0-4, maybe 1.
So is that like a 2-team league that you're playing in?
No, it's a 10-team league.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think I'm getting like bonus points because the other teams are doing so badly. So it's been rough. A lot of my whoa, what the heck happened? Am I back?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I had a little bump. I don't know what the heck happened there. But anyways,
Mike, you don't need to be bringing up old crap. All right, that was last week's games. We don't need to worry about that stuff. All right.
Exactly. But yeah, my plan was to auto draft and just kind of take my chances and see what happened. Not bad if you got some solid players that you wind up auto drafting, but you've always got to worry about the injury bug. You've always got to stay on top of it. And the problem is, if you don't have that kind of in your strategy, you're going to get blown out like I've been. So it's not been good. I think one of my teams, I don't even think I got like 80 points. It was that bad. And then I had one guy that was a last minute scratch that I didn't catch, and so I lost points on that one too. So it was horrible. Anyways, so yeah, Jay's not doing so good. I'm just dying in fantasy football. It's bad, right? It's kind of like watching Trevor Lawrence out there with the Jags. It's just not good at all. But speaking of things that are not good, this next week we should have some pretty good games. I see Houston is taking on Buffalo, 2 3-1 teams. That's going to be a pretty good game. Minnesota is going to be playing the Jets, right? And I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of revenge exacted against Aaron Rodgers. And Brian, who do you guys got this week?
We're playing Pittsburgh for the Sunday night game, which it's going to be in Pittsburgh. That's going to be It's gonna be an interesting game. I'm a little. I'm kind of worried about every game at this point, but it's gonna be a hard game. So
Yeah, but I mean, there's potential there, right? You're going to be playing a fairly decent 3-1 Pittsburgh team. This could be a very good test for your offense to see kind of where you guys are really at and what you can kind of adapt to. Maybe if Uncle Rico can get you a run game.
maybe I don't know. I mean, we're playing against T.J. Watt, so we're gonna have to have
No, you're
something.
dead. You're
Yeah,
dead.
we're gonna have to have something special against them, or it's gonna be a long game for Cowboys fans.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, Green Bay is going to be playing fairly lukewarm LA Rams. And I mean, we've got history with Stafford. So, provided our defense actually shows up, it should be a pretty decent game. I'm hopeful that Love gets a little bit more time to rest and recover because this is a Sunday afternoon game. Um, and like Mike G said, we do have some bye weeks coming up now, and I've already been suffering because of that. Thanks, stupid NFL bye weeks. Um, but yeah, there should be some pretty decent football this weekend. We already talked about college earlier. Washington, your arch nemesis, the Washington, whatever they are this week, is going to be playing the 1-3 Cleveland Browns, right?
Yeah,
So that's not going to help you guys. And the New York Giants are basically going to give another game away to Seattle, and Seattle's going to wind up being 4-1. So some interesting developments going on around the league. You know, is I don't see is Detroit playing?
no, they're on a bye.
Okay, I know the Chicago Bears are playing the 1-3 Carolina Panthers. That should be a snooze fest. We'll see how that works out. But in the meantime, yeah, there's going to be some good football this weekend.
Oh yeah,
College, NFL. Um, we don't have a whole lot of UFL updates or anything right now. There have been some signings and there has been some movement and stuff like that. Right now, the biggest thing is going to be tickets, right? And we say this all the time, but make sure if you don't have season tickets, go get you some season tickets, right? San Antonio is going to have somewhat of a shortened home season. We only get 4 games this year, but that also means it's going to be less on tickets. So reach out to James Carr or any of the other staff with San Antonio Brahmas, see what kind of deals they can work out for you. I know we're buying extra tickets because we're getting a bunch of people hooked, and it's an incredibly fun time. It's extremely affordable. It's great for the whole family. So
absolutely.
you reach out to your ticket rep, get in on those season tickets, come hang out with us. We always tailgate, even if it's only 20 minutes. We're going to figure it out.
Oh shoot, where did he go? We lost Jay. Well, like he was saying, uh, get your tickets. Call your season ticket rep. Oh, I think he's coming back in here.
Oop, yeah, what happened to me?
What? I
So
don't know. What'd you do?
I think it's my PC acting up. I think it's tired. And it's probably a good way to segue out of this. But
That's
again,
right. On that note, Jay's computer says it's time for us to go.
yeah. So I think we're good. Brian, you got anything else before we check out?
Actually, real quick, I know obviously we're a football show, but the sports world lost a couple big names yesterday. Dikembe Mutombo and Pete Rose.
Mhm.
Really, a couple big names, one Hall of Famer and one guy who should be in the Hall of Fame. So,
Should have been in the Hall of Fame 20 plus years ago.
longer than that. But
Yes.
that's sad news for the sports world.
Hmm.
So that's what I got, man. Rest in peace to those two.
Yes. Definite loss. Our hearts and prayers go out to their families. Hopefully, MLB will pull its head out of its behind and make right what has been the longest standing tragedy or travesty, rather, ever in the history of baseball. Get Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. You should have done
At
it
this
with
point,
Juan.
I what I think I saw a post and I forget who posted it, but if I'm the family, do I accept that? I'm like, you know what? You should have done this when he was alive. So now you're going to do it when he's dead. No, stick it. Keep him. Yeah, I don't want him in there because even though he should be, because you can't tell the story of baseball without Pete Rose.
Right.
So,
And
but he should be in there. But
Yep. I would 100% support that. As a fan, I would hope and pray that the family goes up to accept it and tells the commissioner of baseball, you know what, you and all the people before you, you can stick it because you should have made it right when he was alive, especially considering you've got all these roid rage freaks that are in and nothing happened to them. You've got other people that are in and you knew that they were gambling and stuff too. But because Pete Rose got caught, you kept him out, and that's BS. So, anyways, on that note, I think we're going to go ahead and shut it down there. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Shout out to all of our friends, AFN Network, W Energy Drink. Thank you guys so much for being our sponsor. If you guys are looking for a good energy drink, you know the spiel. Go get you some. Fuel Network, the End Zone helmets, and Caleb Samuel, shout out to you again.
Absolutely.
And just guys, we couldn't do it without you. So thank you all very much for all of your support. Episode 82 is now in the books. And
it's actually 81, Jay. You changed it. I'd already changed it, so it is 81.
You shut up. It's 82.
You're getting ahead of yourself here, bud.
We're gonna get that. We're gonna get to that 100th episode, one way or another. But in the meantime, guys, thank you so much.